is one piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of things like our intellect, like our
Well,
culture, like
no.
our capacity,
Well,
like our
let's
like
say
morals,
let's say
philosophy. There's so much.
let's say Jews were chickens, but they had human intelligence. Would it have been okay for the Nazis to wipe out Jews if they were chickens with human intelligence?
Would it have been okay for Nazis to wipe out Jews if they were chickens with human intelligence?
Yeah.
Um, I would say no, but if they had to pick two people, I would rather than pick the chicken with
Oh, okay. Okay.
the intelligence. But yeah, still no, it's bad.
Okay. So it's bad. Um,
Yeah.
so not right. Now, let's say those chickens did not have human intelligence. So Jews are just chickens. It would be okay?
Um, are they? I mean, if they're just killing chickens just to kill them, are they eating? Are they using them
Yeah,
for
sure.
some
Let's
sort
let's
of?
say they're eating
It's
them.
still not good, but okay. Well, I wouldn't say it's the same. It's not as bad as killing
Right.
Jews with
We
full
could say
human
it's not
IQ,
as
but it's
bad.
still not good. But it's not good, but it's not as bad. Yes, I would
Okay,
say.
well then let me ask you, why would you support something that's wrong?
I don't know if I necessarily. I've already said that I don't necessarily support it. That I think it. I mean,
Okay, then
I'm working from
if
a
you
position of
recognize
ignorance.
it's
I don't
wrong,
know all of
if
the
you
complicated.
recognize it's wrong, why would you do it? If
I'm
something's
hearing.
wrong, it's
Okay,
something you
you.
shouldn't do, correct?
Okay, my position is that your name is you go by Vegan Gains. You have a very vegan centered. So you're giving me all of these data points. I don't have data points from the other side, and I don't actually know. Like what I'm saying, I'm coming from a position of ignorance. I don't know. I haven't really thought about this, and I don't know whether it's feasible or whether it is
Well,
okay or
we
bad to do this. I just know
we're
that it's not the
thinking
same as
about this
killing Jews
during
in the
this.
Holocaust.
You have been thinking about this throughout this discussion. Okay, this isn't something you've
Yeah.
considered much in your personal life, but you've been thinking about this in this discussion. You've admitted it's wrong. So I'm just asking you now, why would you do something that you
Well,
recognize as wrong?
if you're eating them,
Well,
I
you
don't know
said
if
it's
that is
wrong.
wrong.
You said it's wrong. So why would you
I did
support
say that,
something that
yeah.
is wrong?
Well, I don't know if I think it is wrong now that I'm thinking about it. I'm not quite sure.
Why would it not be
Killing a
wrong?
bunch of chickens to feed the population of Germany in the 30s. Um, it depends on the ramifications of not doing that. You know,
Well,
what if you do
I'll tell
abstain
you
from
what the
killing and eating the chickens? What
ramifications.
happens?
Well, I'll tell you what the ramifications of not doing that would have been. People would have been eating more plant-based foods. They would have been consuming less cholesterol. They would
I
have
don't know if
more
that's a
food
fairy tale
availability
though.
because guess what? Chickens are fed with grain. And you would also reduce zoonotic disease transmission. So you'd see less outbreak of flu virus. The flu has killed tens of millions of people worldwide. You realize that? There was a flu outbreak in the after World War One in 1918 that killed about 50 million people. That originated from chickens, from farming chickens. A flu
We should keep
outbreak
killing the
killed
chickens then.
50 million people worldwide. So,
Fucking
so
chickens.
well, those chickens wouldn't exist if we didn't breed them into existence and consume their flesh. So, from farming chickens, that led to the brutal deaths of 50 million people who had to die from a viral infection. So, again, how is any of this okay? You're supporting a holocaust against animals. You're causing their suffering and death, and on top of that, you're causing tens of millions of people to suffer and die from a transmittable disease. So, how is any of this okay?
Well, here's what I would say. I would say that I recognize sort of how historically we've gotten to this point, and I would support phasing out of this. If I mean, unless like we reset
If you
ourselves with
support phasing out
whatever.
of
If we
this, then
continue,
go vegan. If you support that, then go vegan.
I've
You
considered it.
vote with your
I have
dollars.
considered it.
Look,
Yeah,
you vote with
I'm
your
not against
dollars.
becoming vegan, but I also don't know whether it's like in terms of nutrition and all these things. There's a lot of things that I'm not aware of I don't know whether
Okay,
I
well,
can
I'm six
actually
foot
get a certain
three.
amount of B
I'm
vitamins or
270
something, all this
pounds.
stuff.
I do bodybuilding. I can bench 400 pounds. I've been vegan for 14 years. I'm not dead yet. So it's pretty clear you can get enough nutrition.
It's certainly something I would consider, but I would definitely I still think me and you would be in largely different camps because I
No,
think
I don't think
you're
we
putting
are.
much larger you're
Look,
putting
I
much
don't think
larger
we
importance on
are.
a lot of things.
Look, I don't think we are. I think the only thing we
I'm not
disagree
against.
with, I think the only thing we disagree with is the evaluation of whose life matters more. And fine, that's your personal
Well, you think it's
preference. You can
equal,
think the
right?
life, well, you can think the life of a human being matters more than the life of a chicken, and that's fine. But
Do you not? You think
depends on
it's
the human,
equal?
depends on the chicken. But
Depends on the chicken. Well, in what scenario would the chicken be more valuable than the human? If they're
if we're
Hitler,
talking about
basically.
Hitler, if we're talking about a pedophile, if we're talking about somebody who's violating the rights of others,
What if it's
then
both neutral? What if it's like a newborn and a newborn chicken? They both have no baggage at all.
assuming the child's going to grow up to be vegan, then I'd save the child. But again, you recognized that this is wrong. Mass
But what if
killing
they're
of
not going to grow up to
animals.
be vegan?
Look, mass killing of animals is not a
Wait, wait,
nice
wait,
thing.
wait. That makes it sound like you'd pick the child if the child was going to eat meat.
No, I'd pick the chicken if the
Or,
child was going to eat meat.
well, yeah, that's what yeah, you'd choose to kill the child.
Yeah, yeah. So, look, you already agreed with
That's
me.
crazy.
No, you already agreed with me that the mass killing of animals is not a good thing. Causing animals all of the suffering and death is not a good thing.
Right.
I've
I'm still
already
a
pointed
human
out,
supremacist though.
and I've
I love
already pointed
humanity more than
out.
I love any other
Well,
species,
listen, I
and
already
I'm not
pointed out
gonna.
that animal agriculture is harming humanity. It's reducing food security. It's increasing zoonotic disease transmission. Tens of millions of people, if not.
I know, but I would pick that baby no matter what.
Okay,
Basically,
well, that's great.
unless it's gonna be Hitler or something, unless it destroys more humans, then I would pick that baby. That's what I
Well,
mean by we are still opposed and like diametrically opposed in a lot of ways. Even if maybe I do become vegan, I think you have a large set of weird like ideological traits that I don't think I would ever be able to get on board with,
that's
like
great,
killing
but
humans because they eat meat.
well, again, that's great, but you've talked about being a human supremacist. You want to see humans thrive, and I've pointed out
Yeah,
that you don't like the idea of animals getting brutally murdered or mistreated. You don't like the
yeah,
idea of humans starving to death because of food insecurity. You don't like the
yeah,
idea of tens of millions of people dying from zoonotic disease transmission. By the way, the bubonic plague is a zoonotic disease. It was picked up from animals, transmitted to humans, and it might have caused, I think the estimate is like 500 million human deaths. It wiped out half of humanity, and that's because humans were killing and eating animals. So if you care about humanity so much, like I don't see any way for you to make these claims and not go vegan.
Well, I can't really. I mean, I agree. You are making a strong case for veganism, apart from your like psychotic lack of preference for humanity, which I find kind of concerning. Aside from like you as a person and some of the things you're saying is sort of, but what you're saying, you're sort of turning me off because of you're coming off kind of like psychotic a little bit, but you are making like just in terms of what you're saying, you're making a strong case, and I haven't made a strong case against it to really back it up. So I would say that you're fairly convincing, yeah. But I don't I'm not in the complete camp that you are, and I don't know if I ever will be per se, but I may stop eating meat when I could, but I've already come to that conclusion before that it's something that I would consider. I'm not entirely against going
Well, look,
vegan.
if you're going to claim you love humanity so much and you want to see humanity thrive, but you're supporting an industry that not only harms animals, and by the way, killing animals causes psychological disturbance to humans. All these people who live in who work in slaughterhouses, they have PTSD. They can't sleep at night. They have horrible nightmares. A lot of them have to quit their jobs because they can't handle the psychological torture of brutally murdering these animals. And on top of that, again, it's causing zoonotic disease transmission. It's causing food insecurity. People are starving to death because we're feeding animals food that could have gone to these people, and we're just feeding these animals and fattening them up so wealthier people can enjoy eating a steak. It's contributing to climate change, which is causing even more food insecurity. There's zoonotic disease transmission that's killing tens of millions of people worldwide. If you don't go vegan while claiming you care so much about humanity, you're just a hypocrite.
Okay, that's
So,
fair. I'll definitely consider.
I don't know why you'd consider. Why don't you just do it? Like, why wouldn't you just do it when you know
Well,
it's the right
I don't
thing?
know. Well, when I say I consider, after this conversation, I'll probably figure out what the opposing side has to say in terms of. I mean, I'm getting all one side here. I don't really know. I'm not just gonna be convinced and then
Well,
boom, like okay.
well, what?
So I'd like to hear the other arguments against you because I'm sure there are some decent ones.
Well, there aren't. Like, what's the opposing side?
Well,
Oh,
I know you would
zoonotic
say
disease
that. I know
transmission is a good thing.
a
Tens of
far
millions
less
of people
progressive
dying
would
from
say the right
viruses
wing is wrong
is
about
okay.
everything. Like,
Well,
of
look,
course.
is it okay that tens of millions of people are dying from zoonotic disease
You just keep
transmission?
regurgitating your data point. I don't know. You don't have to accept the fact that I'm going to do more research and listen to the opposing side before I make a
You can do
decision.
more
But that's what I'm going
research,
to do.
sure, but I mean, like, what are you
Yeah.
expecting? Are you expecting somebody to tell you, "Oh no, people dying of disease, that's a good thing. People living shorter lives because they're eating
Well,
so
I
much
don't know. I
saturated fat
don't
and
know.
cholesterol and
Everything
getting
you could have
cancer,
said, you could
that's a
have just
good
made
thing."
up. I'm not saying you did, but you could have made everything up because I don't know any better. That's all I'm saying is that I'm going to, you know, just look more into it and hear what the other side is saying. And if the other side would poke holes in something you said, if it was slightly misrepresented or whatnot, and likewise your side would do the same. So that's all. I would like a thorough understanding of the topic before I make a decision like that because I
Well,
don't know whether
what is there you don't understand?
like I don't know whether there are serious nutritional consequences or whether there are serious
Okay, well, the American
like whether
Dietetics
even systemically
Association. Well,
anyone
wait,
could.
wait. The American Dietetics Association is the largest nutrition organization in the world. They've released a peer-reviewed statement claiming that vegan diets are suitable for all stages of the life cycle, from pregnancy to adulthood. They're also suitable for athletes. Again, I'm a 6'3" bodybuilder. I'm 270 pounds. I can bench 400 pounds. Like, what's the nutritional issue?
I don't well I have personal like what's the term? I have personal cases where people that I know have gone vegan and they've been like they started having seizures and I mean I think it's different for different people whether they are capable of
Okay, do you
doing this.
think
I
broccoli
know
causes
the one
seizures?
person.
Like, do you think broccoli
Well, no,
causes
it was
seizures?
well, no, but it was the lack of a specific type of B vitamin, and
Yeah, so
there was something wrong with
you do
their
have to
blood
supplement
and
with
their
B12. You do have to supplement with B12, but I mean,
yeah,
anybody can get a
maybe.
B12 deficiency. Look, anybody can get a deficiency in anything. If your diet is not appropriately planned, like if you're eating nothing but pepperoni pizzas, you're probably going to have a nutrition deficiency. But oh, you're eating meat, you're eating some grains, you're eating some veggies that are on the pizza, like tomatoes. But like, look, if you have a diet that's inappropriately planned, any diet is going to be bad for you. So, that's not a claim against a vegan diet not being nutritionally adequate. That's just a claim against inappropriate dietary planning. And if you have concerns that you're not going to be able to appropriately plan a vegan diet, there's actually free resources to help you. So you can go to challenge22.com. They can set you up with a vegan dietitian who will help you design a diet for you to make sure all your nutritional needs are met. So why don't you just use that resource and just go vegan today?
Yeah, I mean, I would check that out. I would be interested. I mean, it's other things like whether it's even feasible at the macro scale, um, and like also like can we do it in the first world, but maybe the third world it's going to take some time, or and are there some things like hunting that we may need to continue doing because um, but I mean, the small bit that I have thought about it, is that potentially going vegan outside from, getting my meat elsewhere, because I mean,
Well,
I don't have the same framework as you that it's everything is equal. I do believe that
well,
we're going
look,
to have to keep
even if,
hunting deer,
well, wait,
otherwise they're going to
even
overpopulate,
even if
and
other
that's not
people can't,
unethical.
even if other people can't go vegan, what's the argument against you going vegan? Okay,
Well, no,
let's say people in third world
I was
countries
just
can't
using
go
that
vegan, or
as
else
an
they'll.
example, like as like is it economically viable in terms of scale for the first world or for the third world or anything
Okay,
like
well,
it could be a place where I'm living. I don't know.
meat is a luxury. Most people who are in poverty are living off of rice and potatoes and just vegetables. So you can talk to people who came from China decades ago who were living in poverty. All they were eating were vegetables, and maybe they'd have like one sausage that they'd split across the family for like one special meal out of the week. So no, poor people living in poverty in all of these third world countries, they're living off of plant-based diets.
Well, I think that for me personally, I think the probably because I don't think I'm going to agree with you amongst everything, but I do agree with you in terms of like factory farming and the unethical tendencies that come with that. I would like to not support that. And I
Then
think
don't. Then don't.
what
95% of farming is factory farming. If you buy animal products, you're pretty much guaranteed to be supporting factory farming. And I
Right, yeah,
just
you would have
gave
to
you a way
specifically
out
go
of
out of your
that.
way to get local. You would
Well,
have to
look, I
specifically go out
just
of your way
gave you a
to
way
get
out of that.
local. But I wouldn't be against. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying that I'm describing the difference between you and me. I don't think I'm going like I would like to probably take up hunting or something. Because I don't think that like I wouldn't literally
Have
be
you
a
ever killed
vegan.
an
I would
animal?
still eat meat.
Have
I
you
would
ever
just
killed an
care
animal personally?
an animal. I mean, like insects.
No, have you
Uh,
ever like slit a pig's throat open? Have you ever killed a chicken?
like a
Anything like that?
mammal.
Well, chickens aren't mammals,
No.
but yeah, so
Yeah, no, I haven't.
well, why like have you ever seen slaughterhouse footage?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't like that. But that's much different than a hunter dipping his hand into the wild,
Well,
and
look,
keeping the deer population in
I
check because we
I do
wiped out the
not
wolves
see
hundreds of years ago.
well, listen, I don't see a massive difference between slitting a chicken's throat open and blowing a deer's brains out with a high-powered rifle. Like both of those seem like nasty things that I wouldn't want to support. Why would you want to
Well,
support either of
one is
those
you're
things?
building a building. You're basically constructing a prison for them and treating them like shit. And then the other is it's a random deer that you're finding that is living its own life in the wild, and eventually it's going to die, whether from a rival deer with a fight, or from a predator, or from lack of food because they're overpopulated, or because of various other factors. And me being a hunter, going to kill to feed my family for six
Well, the
months or
reason,
something.
well, look,
I think it's just as
we've been
good as any.
hunting. Well, wait, we've been hunting deer for quite a long time, and I keep hearing this argument. Oh, they're overpopulating. Oh, they're overpopulating. Clearly, hunting isn't fucking solving the issue. And if you actually look at
Well, it comes
the
in
way,
waves. There's seasons.
yeah, well, if you look at the way hunting's conducted, they particularly target large male deer. If you were actually trying to reduce the deer population, you would actually preferentially kill female deer. So, like, hunters aren't
Well,
dealing with
one male is
deer
going to
over.
produce way more deer. If you kill one buck, you're going to reduce the population by way more than if you killed one doe, because the
Well,
one
look,
buck can
Well,
fuck
well,
a bunch of
well,
doe.
well. Look, the actual reason deer are overpopulated is because we've actually massively expanded their territorial range. The white-tailed deer population in North America was almost going extinct, and the government stepped in. They had a lottery system for getting hunting permits, and they increased their territorial range by reforesting. If you were to just reduce their territorial range, you wouldn't have this overpopulation issue. So hunting isn't a solution to this. Like why would you want to murder an animal that's living its
What
life?
do you mean by reduce their territorial range? Like deforest? And what
Yeah,
do you mean by that?
deforest, increase human. So you can increase human habitation. So farmland, apartment buildings, stuff like that. But the big issue is unbroken territorial range. So if you have, let's say, I don't know, 50 square kilometers of wilderness, you could break that in half. So it's not an just completely unbroken wilderness, and basically split that 50 square kilometers up into, different 25 square kilometer chunks.
with like a with
That
barrier
Yeah, so
sections.
that would actually reduce deer populations much more effectively than just blowing their brains out with rifles. And then again, oh, next
That's
season, oh,
interesting.
they're overpopulating. Oh, they're overpopulating. So this isn't a
Well, so
solution.
that would reduce deer population in terms of, it would lower the cap, but it wouldn't necessarily. I don't know why would each individual little colony of deer not overpopulate and then deer would die. Like, I mean, death is inevitable in nature, especially when you're talking about, you don't have predators and you have a prey that will just they're just going to constantly populate no matter what.
No,
I don't see why they wouldn't.
No, so again, there's a reason why there was this reforestation effort to increase the white-tailed deer population. That was the main issue for why their populations were decreasing. It wasn't just overhunting; it was also habitat encroachment. If these deer don't have such a massive habitat that's unbroken, they're not going to breed as much. They're not going to have as much access to, you know, um, other deer to actually breed with. And because they don't have as many resources, that also reduces their breeding capacity. If they don't have
Huh.
as much territorial range, if they don't have as much access to other deer to mate with, and if they don't have as much access to an insane amount of food, they're going to breed less.
Well, that would be interesting to try. If I don't know how, like whether that alone is enough. I mean, if it is, then that would be cool to try. It would be cool to try that in certain locations and see if that works to keep the population down. I think that's interesting.
But like my main
Even I still don't see hunting as unethical.
well, look,
I think
my
regardless,
Well, do you think it's
but
ethical to hunt people? Like, I mean, there's very valid arguments for
we don't
overpopulation
have
of
the
human
same
beings.
baseline. We don't have the same baseline. You're coming from a very different perspective that they're equal. I don't have that. I don't
Well,
hold that view. That's the thing that I don't think I'm
wait.
ever going to be on board with that.
There are very valid arguments for the overpopulation of humanity. There are countries that rely on importation of food, and water and energy. They can't produce it domestically, and you're relying on good relations with other countries to make sure. And the economics within your own country. Turkey is facing this problem right now. They're a massive importer of resources, both food and energy. And because of the hyperinflation they're experiencing, it's increasing the cost of food and energy even more. And you could say the population of Turkey is overpopulated. Like, is it okay to go and hunt Turkish people now because
Well,
they're
no, I think
overpopulated?
no. Well, they are not. Well, first of all, again, like I said, I'm working with the fact that humans are far different than animals. I hold them at a higher form of value, and I give them certain rights that I would not ascribe or I would not give to animals. If you're looking at a place that's overpopulated, I would say the how to deal with that would be to address why those. I mean, the reason why it's overpopulated is because there's so many people there and they don't have the things they need, where there isn't. Usually it's not there's not enough space. It's usually there's not enough infrastructure. I would look to try to like gentrify essentially and bring in industry, just try to lift up economically so then those people can and their children can have better lives. That's
Well,
what I
why
would
don't
do
you
for
treat
people.
animals the same way? I mean, we could deal with overpopulation of deer by, say, using technology to reduce their habitat range. We can prevent them from
That would be
breeding
yeah,
by chemical
I would be in
castration.
support of that.
We could do all these. So, why would you shoot a deer in the head if you could use all this technology?
Well, as of right now, we don't have those. I don't. I mean, what am I gonna? Am I gonna like run for representative and try to lobby for that to in my
You
state
absolutely
to?
can. And look,
I,
you can vote
I
with your
could. There's a
dollars.
lot of
You
other
can
things I
choose
could
not to
do.
support, you can personally choose not to support hunting, and you can force governments and industries to put their resources into better, more ethical
I
efforts.
already told you I don't think hunting is. I think hunting is more ethical than factory farming, and I
Sure,
don't think it's
I
bad
think
enough
I'd
where I
agree with
wouldn't
that
hunt in
too,
the
but just
current
because
state
it's
as
more
how the
ethical,
system's
that
set
doesn't make
up.
it right. Like, you would agree with me, there's a
I
better
don't think it's
way.
wrong.
You could say there's a better way of managing wildlife than, shooting them with a high-powered rifle, correct? Like,
I'd be open to that. I don't know whether, because you just gave me one example which I'd never thought of or heard of, and I think that would be cool to try. But as of now, it's not implemented. So I don't think there's anything wrong with
well,
going out
it's not
and killing a
implemented.
deer to
It's
eat
not
it.
implemented because there's people like you who are supporting a less ethical solution. So if you don't support a less ethical solution and you force, these government agencies to, find other means of dealing with these issues, then that's going to lead to a world that you'd prefer to see. A world where you don't have to shoot deer with
Well,
high
I've
powered
never hunted
rifles.
before. I
They
don't
can
talk
live
about it,
peacefully.
but
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you've never hunted before. And
I'm
I
not.
think if you
I'm
did, I
not
think
the.
I hope you
I was
never
just saying
hunt
that I
because
would.
not only for the animals' benefit, but I think for your benefit. It
I
sounds to
think
me
I'd
like you
like to
don't
hunt.
have an interest. Well, it sounds to me like you don't have an interest in murdering animals.
Well,
W-
no. I think it's a useful skill, especially if you ever find yourself in a situation where all of a sudden grocery stores no longer have food. I
well,
mean,
look,
I think there's
go
a
to
lot
an
of reasons
outdoor
why I
shooting
think being able to
range.
hunt would
Well,
be
sure,
valuable.
go to an like, look, I do shooting. I
It's
love
not the
shooting.
same, but
Well, look, you can go to an outdoor shooting range and you can practice target shooting. That's the basic skill that you need to have. You just need to be a good shot. Like again, most hunters are fucking lazy and they'll just put out bait and wait for a deer to come. That's how most hunting's done. So, look, just go to a range, practice target shooting. If you want to develop that skill, just in case there's an apocalyptic event, go for it. Go to a shooting range, shoot at targets. That's not harming anybody. But you don't seem like the type of guy who has an interest in murdering an animal, and I don't think you'd feel good after you do it, and I hope you never do it.
no, not really. I mean, I don't. I definitely wouldn't get a euphoria from it. It would more be like I did this to feed the people that I love,
Well,
and
look,
I'm glad that I have the capacity and that I can do it, so then they don't starve. Even though
I
I may not want
well,
to,
look,
something that I
you're
needed to do in this scenario.
no one in your family
I'd
is
like to
starving
be
right
able to
now.
do that.
I don't think
No, I'm
anybody in your
saying I'd
family is
like to be
starving right
able to
now. Well, I don't think anybody in your family is starving
if
right
they
now.
were.
Hopefully, at no point are they going to starve. And look, I think if you actually were to go out and hunt, I think you would feel, bad about that emotionally. I think you'd cause yourself trauma. Not only are you harming the deer, but I think you're going to end up harming yourself, and for no benefit. You're just going to go out into the wild, kill a deer, feel bad about it afterwards. You might also give yourself Lyme disease because deer carry ticks and they transfer disease to human beings. Again, another reason for why I'm against hunting. Hunting results in zoonotic disease transmission, and you're just going to increase your chances of getting your life fucked up. And for what? You didn't need that meat. Your family didn't need that meat. It's not going to prevent you from starving. And all you did was increase the risk of you getting a horrible disease. And on top of that, traumatizing yourself because you killed an innocent animal. Like, deer are beautiful creatures. I think you can, I'm sure you've seen videos on like Instagram or TikTok or something where people go up and pet deer at petting zoos or something. They're wonderful, sweet animals. Like, why would you want to kill a sweet animal like that? That's beautiful.
Well, I mean, yeah, I said that. I think. Well, I think there is. Again, I'm not a hunter, but I would reckon um, it would be. It's just valuable to actually do the act of hunting as opposed to just target shooting. Um,
It's not. It's
in
the
the
same.
event
It's
that
the
I would need
same
to.
exact skill. It's the same exact skill. Target shooting will teach you how to kill a human being or an animal. That's why the military teaches you to shoot targets. It's the same exact skill. So, it, I think it's about time to wrap this conversation up. But
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll ask you to do me one favor. Please watch either Dominion or Earthlings. They're both fantastic animal rights documentaries. Dominion is a more modern documentary, so all of the footage was shot on Australian farms, and Australia is kind of known for having better animal rights practices, or sorry, better animal welfare practices than the United States, which I think you're from, right? Um,
Yeah.
so that's a more modern documentary. So
What was the other one? Dominion and what?
And Earthlings. I would say Earthlings is a better documentary overall. The pushback I've seen from meat eaters, however, is that a lot of the footage is from places like India. Some of it's from the United States. Some of it's from Australia. It's kind of all over the world. But the footage is a bit older. It's a bit more grainy. It's still good and relevant footage, but some people who watch it kind of get this feeling that, oh, it's older, oh, it's from other countries, and they kind of cope and say, oh, well, that doesn't happen here. Well, it does happen here. It would be good if you watch both, really, but if you only watch one, I would kind of recommend Dominion, but Earthlings is a better documentary. I would appreciate if you'd watch at least one of those. Pick
I'll
whatever you
probably watch
want.
both.
Pick whatever you
I'll
want.
probably watch both.
And see how you feel after watching that, and think about our discussion.
All right. Cool.
All right, well, take care,
Will
man.
do.
It was a good talk.
All right. Adios.
Take care. Forgot my namification. Donate $2. This vid is kind of cringe, but give me